Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. We have everyone here, and Kella will be here shortly. We have additions to the agenda. You'll see District 741 is proud of 2, 3, and 4, so we would add that on to the proud ofs. Other than that, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
A motion by Cheryl.
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay. Then we're, District 741 is proud of all those responsible for making the mock car crash an extremely successful event. Sponsors who donated items that SAD, which is Students Against Destructive Decisions, gave away throughout the week. AAA and State Farm. The following individuals and organizations who coordinated and executed the event: Paynesville Police Department, Paynesville Fire Department, Paynesville EMTs, Johnson Funeral Home, Lake Henry Fire Department, St. Martin Fire Department, LifeLink, Amy Severson, Scott Larson, Morgan Soini, Jackie Osterhaus, Paynesville Press, BNC, Bulldog News Channel, Matt Dickhausen, Taylor Berg, Maddie Gray, Tierra Severson, the Future Farmers of America, Natalie Utsch and family, Jamie Soini, Dave Schutz, Voss Plumbing and Heating and Air Conditioning, Paynesville Auto Parts and Service, and SAD. And SAD was the Students Against Destructive Decisions. Okay. The FFA, District 741, is part of the FFA Dairy Judging Team for placing 17th at state. Team members were Kyle Willingring, grade 12, Ashton Knapp, grade 11, Tanner Schaefer, grade 12, and Anthony Wentlet, grade 12. The FFA Ag Mechanics Team for placing 5th at state. Team members were Andrew Lensmeyer, Corey Dahl, grade 11, John Schaefer, grade 12, and Grant Reitmeyer, grade 9. Seniors, Anthony Wentlet and John Schaefer, for receiving their state degrees. Okay, we are now on public comments. So we are open to anybody from the public that would like to speak. You get to hang out. We even have a place for you there.
Oh,
so you can speak more now.
Yeah. Since there's no public comment, we will move on. Approve and correct minutes from the April 28, 2015 regular board meeting. I'll make a motion that we approve. A second by Lou. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay, we have nothing now in the consent agenda. So we are on business. Are we too far ahead to get started?
Oh,
The
no,
kids are coming
go
at
ahead.
whatever.
They'll come at 1:15. You can do a few.
How would you like to give your report first?
Would it be possible to have Jen? Jen, you want
Sure.
to do yours?
Sure.
Just for the public there, we are waiting for the middle and high school students to come in about 7 minutes. So we're going to move ahead on the agenda and then we'll back up. Are you going to show on the screen here?
First, I'd like to just thank you for inviting me to come and speak with you today for a couple of minutes. On a beautiful day like today, you may have forgotten, hopefully you've forgotten what it was like a year and a half ago outside. We had a horrible winter. Mr. Hewitt made more phone calls, I think, to families than
I ever wanted to make in my life.
And you can hear it in your voice, too. This is Bob Hewitt. But on one of those snow days, I was sitting at home texting back.
Jen, can you hear okay?
No, neither mic.
You're going to have to hold the mic.
Hold it.
Yeah, or sit down and
Or sit
just
down. I'll
speak
sit down.
into
I'll
it.
sit down. Okay, on one of those snow days, a colleague and I were texting back and forth, dreaming of summer. So what else are you going to do when it's 40 below? And we were thinking about summer doesn't just mean time off, it means time to do something different. And we were thinking about how we could make our summer school more interesting and different. So we started what we called the Big Dream. And we threw back and forth ideas. This is my colleague is Kim Jones. We were talking about, let's take the kids to the cities and show them a professional theater performance. Or let's do something really different and bring a camp here to Paynesville. So we wrote this all up and we were thinking about it and we thought, don't know if it'll ever happen, but you can't do anything unless you dream a little bit. So we put together the Big Dream, called it Shoot for the Stars, and emailed it to Mr. Orline and probably Mr. Hewitt, if I'm remembering correctly. And we had a couple of thoughts. One was we wanted to offer a summer theater experience to our students here. Not to drive to St. Cloud to do it, not to go to Wilmer to do it, not to go down to the cities to do it, but to take our kids from this area and offer them something that they haven't had the opportunity to do before. And when I say children at promise, Kim Jones and I don't like the mic. Kim Jones and I both work in the special education department, and we've had the opportunity to work with a lot of really wonderful kids. And what we've noticed about our kids is some of them don't score great on state testing and on traditional measurements of learning, but they're brilliant in other areas. They're creative and they're funny and they're musical, and they are able to imagine things differently. So we thought, what about offering opportunities for kids maybe to develop some of that potential and to tap into that. We also wanted to remove barriers to provide access so that children from this district, again, didn't have to travel, didn't have to spend a lot of money, didn't have to spend time going back and forth, that they could do these cultural experiences right here in our community. And then, of course, we wanted to tie it in. Summer school, we wanted to tie it into academic skills. And what we found in our research was that kids involved in the arts do better across the board in reading, in math, in writing. And so we looked at some of the research that was specifically connected with theater experiences, and again, wrote that all up and put it in the Big Dream. So then, sometimes, when things converge, it can be a really good thing. It can be also the Bermuda Triangle, which is not a good thing. But in this case, things came together, and Mr. Orline and Mr. Hewitt talked to us about this integration grant that the state was offering. And the purpose was to pursue racial and economic integration, increase student achievement, and reduce academic disparities, using a model where they look at different districts that are identified as racially isolated, and then looking at the partner schools or the schools in the area and see what kind of collaboration we can do. And it turned out that our Big Dream fit really well with some of the initiative's goals. So we were able to create a unique experience for this area, looking at student achievement as tied into the arts experiences. So we threw it out there to the students and to the parents, had wonderful feedback, lots of enthusiasm. You see the happy faces there. We had 28 students from Paynesville and 6 from Melrose in our first ever integration theater camp. Of the 28 from Paynesville, 19 self-identified on their registration as participating in special education, title services, or reading corps. And of the 6 from Melrose, 3 of them identified as being in special services. We had 34 total kids, 2 teachers, 2 paras, and 2 teen mentors. The teen mentors are students who are involved in theater who are in high school and were able to provide some role modeling. We worked in collaboration with Chanhassen Dinner Theater and with Great Children's Theater. Great Children's Theater gave us a 50% reduction in costs because we offered to co-conduct the program with them. So they gave us that without any action whatsoever, really wonderful. Chanhassen gave us a great deal so we could take the kids down to the cities and have them participate in an off-site experience. And then we had lots of donations. We had teachers from our school, we had mentors, people from Reading Corps, people from our staff at the elementary school who said, how can I help? Sounds great. So we had a lot of support in that first year. So this is a picture from one of our academic activities. The kids did things with literacy. They had to write a review to be printed in the paper. They compared and contrasted literature with theater. Did script reading, a lot of things that supported those academic goals while they were hopefully having fun too. We also did a lot of behavioral and social games and activities. We did things about following directions and how to work in a group. We did things on how to keep your stamina up when you've been rehearsing the same thing for 3 hours and you're tired of it, but you need to persevere to the end. So a lot of the games and activities that we did were oriented toward, again, supporting our academic goals. We did a survey at the end and asked the kids what they thought. Most of them felt that they worked hard, that they used their skills, that they learned about following directions, that they learned about set design and prop making, which they had way better ideas than we did, so that was really fun. They wrote, they used their thinking skills, they met people, and they had fun. And most people said, yeah, I would do it again. And of course, a few said they would, but most said they would do it again. On the right is our director from Great. He was fabulous with the children, very organized, energetic, kept their focus, kept their attention. And this is actually our performance day. The kids dressed, the ones with the fun hair are Oompa Loompas. We did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He was able to keep their attention and keep them working hard through 4 hours of rehearsal every day for a week. So it was really fun. And at our performance, the morning of the performance, we all have a momentary panic because if you know anything about theater, you know the last rehearsal before performance is people are nervous and you're working out all those bugs, but man, the curtain went up and the lights came up and the kids were wonderful. People that had been missing their lines all week stepped up and did it. I had little kids tell me, I didn't think I could ever do this in front of people. We had hundreds of people at the performance. We got some really interesting feedback from some of our audience members who said that they had brought their young children to the theater here at our school to see the performance, and they said their kids had never seen live theater, ever, and that they had never been in an auditorium before. So some future Bulldogs were able to come and participate and get excited about what we're doing here. Paynesville Press was wonderfully supportive, came in, took pictures, interviewed, had kids on the front page in their costumes. It was wonderful. And parents gave us just wonderful feedback as well and said that they really appreciated the opportunity and said that it gave their kids a chance to try something they wouldn't have done maybe previously or just didn't have the opportunity to do. So we were really excited by that. We also asked parents for critical feedback. What can we do differently? How can we make it better? We had different suggestions about length of time, how many weeks, how close to the school year we should do it. So we're taking those things into consideration for this year. That's their final performance. Great Children's Theater gave them all certificates too, which I thought was neat. So for this year, we're in the second year of a 3-year grant. We have 30, we're hoping to have 30 students from Paynesville, and then between 6 and 10 from Melrose. We're doing the production Twinderella in collaboration with Great Children's Theater, and we'll be performing on August 14th. I expect you all to put that on your calendars right now. It's free. And then we'll once again be doing an off-site experience at Chanhassen, and this year we're going to see Disney's Mary Poppins. This will be exciting. And the purpose of that was twofold. It was one, to give children that professional experience to see theater. We got to go behind the scenes, we met the actors, we learned about the Actors Union, we learned about what it takes to be trained to work as a professional in theater and the different aspects of it. But it was just neat too to have the kids do something that some of them had never done before. My second year at Paynesville, I was on a field trip to the Twin Cities, and a little boy looked out the window and he said, "Wow, I didn't know we were going to New York." So a lot of our kids have the benefit of going and doing things in the cities, but some of our kids don't. And so we really wanted to remove those barriers and give them access. And so I have kids talking today even about that experience that they had last year of going to see The Little Mermaid. Do you remember when this happened? And the behavior was fabulous. They learned about theater manners. They learned about Randy Sharstrand, who's here, who does a wonderful job about teaching concert manners for our elementary students. And then they got to learn what that looks like in a fancy place with a nice meal and a good performance. So that's about all I have for you. Just want to share our absolute joy at doing this program, and thank you for your support of it. I know that the board approved this last year, and we greatly appreciate it. And thanks to Mr. Hewitt and Mr. Erline for supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we now move to business item 1, and that's why all of you are here, to tell us what you need to tell us. So, receive reports from the middle and high school students advisory councils.
So we'll start off with our high school principal's advisory, and Tatum, you like to talk, so I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Okay, so many of you know I was here a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago, talking about the mock car crash. Now I was the informative person for that. So that happened on Thursday. I saw some of you there. I don't know if you all made it, but it was a huge success. It was so realistic. It was really awesome. The actors, Taylor Berg, Maddie Gray, Amy Sievertson and Tierra Sievertson did an awesome job. And so after the mock car crash, there was a breakout session in the auditorium. That went really well too. We had 3 speakers, Jackie Osterhaus, Mr. Larson, and Morgan Soini. And that just went over really well. They had a question and answer portion. And then we talked to, I think it was really interesting for all the students to see all the different community members that are involved and that volunteer in the fire stations and the EMS and everything like that. I think that was actually really surprising for all the students to see all the people that they knew. And yeah, that was cool. And then they were talking, and then Tierra and Maddie and Taylor all expressed their opinions on how they felt being treated in the car accident and all that. So it was a cool eye-opener. If you guys have any questions about the car crash.
Any other students have comments to make that weren't actively involved in doing it, but seeing it?
I don't have nothing, I just thought it was great what the students did, but more importantly, when I watched the other students, other than the machinery and things that were running, there was silence.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really, more importantly, I think the students paid great attention to what took place.
The engagement. The one comment I heard was that not having enough time to do the texting part of the golf cart activity as well, because that is a choice that some of us make and not seeing the effect of that.
Yeah.
So that was something that we took away to put in the file for the next time around. Was a lot of the students had the chance to use the beer goggles, but then there wasn't enough time to do the texting activity as well because they had both options out there. So,
Yeah.
and Mr. Wagner felt that way too.
Yeah.
Was I wish there would have been more time to be able to do both. So.
Yeah, it seemed like the only group that really got a chance to try the texting one was the seniors. It was kind of funny because most of them, actually, Trent did it with texting, and they were worse texting than they were with the drunk goggles. But yeah, I was out there taking pictures all day for that, and I think that was kind of an eye-opener for people, just how impaired your vision is, and then not only is your vision impaired, but your mind's impaired too, so. Kind of worried. I don't know if you have this sheet, do you?
No, they don't have the sheet.
Okay, never mind, usually you do. Okay, so I am the head of the yearbook. I'm the yearbook editor. And this year we offered yearbook as an extracurricular activity and not a class that you take in school. And I personally really enjoy it because I don't have any room in my schedule to do yearbook. I did, halfway through the year, I did end up taking a study hall. And so I am able to go and do yearbook then during that time. It does provide some challenges. It's a lot of work outside of school. You have to getting pictures and doing the pages and stuff. You don't have a class to do that, so it does have some challenges. There's a lot of commitment, but I really love it. It's really fun. We have a new advisor, Mrs. Miller. Yeah, we finished the book and it's coming on the 20th. And then they'll be handed out on the 22nd.
Somebody else like to jump in on prom? Somebody that went to prom?
Andrew West, also please report to the community ed office.
Alright, I went to prom and it's a lot of pictures and whatnot, a lot of smiling, posing for cameras. But one of my favorite things about the prom events were the hypnotists after the dance. It was the first time I actually really cried a lot while laughing so hard. So that was a good time. There was a lot of activities to do at after prom, so it was a good time.
Well, I went to prom too, and fortunately moving on. Yesterday we took a STEM field trip. So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is a program that I believe we're involved
Project Lead
in.
the Way.
Yeah, Project Lead the Way. So our principals of biomedical science class went on a trip to St. Cloud State, and we toured around their engineering department, their computer science department, and then their brand new iSelf building with their visualization labs and countless numbers of other interesting things that were just you don't see in high schools because they're not to the standards of colleges. And I think one of the most eye-opening things about it was that they have, in colleges, they're starting to make a push for having kind of like smart boards, except they can share information by just swiping it to other screens and other stuff like that, which I know most high schools are a long ways behind, but it was really nice to go see that. And I believe that next year we're offering a Principles of Engineering class, and I'm taking that class as of now, and I'm really excited to just see more about that kind of career field and all that fun stuff like that. So any questions about the trip at all?
So the whole Project Lead the Way class of biomedic went?
Went,
Yeah.
and then we also opened it up to the whole high school for 2 weeks. So we had about 8 students that weren't in that class that also got to sign up. And then Matt also brought his BNC group. So Jordan, do you want to talk about what your thoughts on the trip, some of what you shared? So the students that were in the BNC program, because he tries to take them on a trip at the end of each year for all their work, it really fit into what they're doing, so they went with us as well. So we had kind of a cross section for that. So go ahead and share something that you thought.
Yeah, so I thought it was very different from being at a high school all the time and going to a college, even though we go to Bridgewater. But this one, it seemed to have more of an idea on how we could actually go on into the future about with computer building and stuff. Because at the beginning, we sat there a presentation that showed us how much computers are becoming more of a jobs openings and all the mathematics and studies. And yeah, it's just beginning to become more and more and more. Yeah.
And during the field trip, they focused on information systems, security systems, and then the actual computer application creation of different programs. So they kind of had all 3 different areas of computer engineering and sciences. So it was interesting.
Who here is in the biomed class? So yeah, no. Okay.
Well, there's one of them, but he's not here.
Okay.
And class today. He had a test today.
Okay, well, us 10th graders went to Bridgewater College for Career Day, and we got to go to 3 different sessions and take actual classes, and they talk about different careers. So you got to pick out what classes you'd be interested in and your future career. And I took theater, CSI, Wilmer, which was really cool. You actually got to see a real investigation of a crime scene, and it was very cool and graphic, but it was a lot of fun, and it was worth going to see different options and what your career could hold and what college is like.
Alright, so I took the Illustrator's Magic game programming and photographic assets. With the Illustrator Magic, we basically were drawing pictures onto the computer. So what we did was we created the minions from this movie. And then in the game programming, we were learning about types of coding or languages of that. And that's like the insides of a game. And then the photographic assets, they were showing us what type of careers there are for photography and for how you could start off with a business of your own through that.
Interesting.
Okay, so this Friday, a lot of the language department went to Festival of Nations. It was really cool. They had lots of different ethnic groups. I don't even know if they're pretty much every ethnic group you can think about. And it was just really cool. They had, there was a one and it was exhibits. So they had different art forms of their culture. And then in another room, there was like kind of like stores or whatever. So you could kind of like go into the Nepal station and see what the culture is like in Nepal, and you could buy stuff and stuff. And then there's also the food section, which you could go in there and try different foods. So I tried some Dutch food and some Nepal food, and it was really good. Yeah, I think it was really interesting. I know that Miss Gaby's class, they all had to fill out some forms and stuff, so they had to go to different things and ask people questions. I learned how to say some word in like Dutch, but I kind of forgot it. But you know, like you got to go around to all the different stations, and I thought it was really cool just to see all the different ethnic groups represented. And I'm pretty sure they're all from Minnesota, but don't quote me on that one.
I can do some of the special because I was in the Spanish class. I was in All right. Well, I also went with to the Festival of Nations, and for the food thing, Dutch French fries were a big thing. People really like those. We had to go to 6 different things for Gaby's Spanish 1 and 2 class, I think. And you had to do exhibits, or there was performances, and it was in a big stage called like what was the stage called? It was like
The world stage.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, the world stage. And me and Sarah went and watched 2 groups go, and it was Hungarian and Afghani. We got to see how they dance to their musics and like their traditional dances, and they wore their outfits. It was really interesting, really different because they were total 2 different places to watch. And I think and just going around to the different stores, there was everything you could possibly see, like weird chickens sitting on like a bike that you'd push and the wheels would move and its legs would go up and down, like it looked like he was doing that. People, got a lot of like henna tattoos and then kind of some of that stuff. And the exhibit's really cool because there's a lot of art stuff there, and you can see all their paintings and stuff, pottery. The guy was doing live pottery there too. That was really cool.
Because I'm one of 3 juniors in here right now, I'll start talking about, we took the ACT as a school, or as instead of the NTH, right? It was a required test from the state this year. And we all went over to the Legion and we took it, and it was actually, I thought it was I enjoyed it because it gives us a free experience of taking the ACT before if we choose to take it again, then we know what it'll be like for when we're actually using our money for it. And it was hard, but it's something that I think we all should do before we graduate, because it'll show us how some of the stuff that we need to know before we actually go off to college. And I'm sure these guys will want to talk about it too, but I think it might not be everyone's favorite thing to do, but it was probably a good idea, because then everybody who goes through high school has to take it. So then it'll give them a judge on whether they should or should not proceed to advance in their education, or where they might take their education to. So,
the test was unbelievably hard. I didn't know what I was doing for the most part of it. There's a few parts that I knew what I was doing. But it took up like the whole day. We started at like 8:30 and then went to like 2-ish, I think. We had like a 15-minute break in between. Like we did the first 2, which was math, reading,
no, English
and math. And then we did our math and science there for our last, and we had another 5-minute break before we did our writing portion of it. And I don't know, it was a long day. I don't know what else to say about it.
I wasn't really there for most of the time, but we chopped down some of the bushes in front of front of high school, and there was a bunch of people there. I thought it was a good turnout for a bunch of people, like baseball players, softball players. There's a bunch of people there, and the JV set up a fence for the outfield on their field, which is, I like it. It's great. He hit home run yesterday, and I gave up 2 home runs, so I don't think I was that And yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good day for everybody to come help.
While the cleanup day was going on, we had that 10th grade fundraiser for the car wash at Loosings. Actually let us, they donated all the soap and water and let us use their place for the car wash. So it was a big turnout. We charged like $5. Took about 3 to 4 minutes for each car. I think we made how much money? $500 or so. So that finished off our fundraising to go to Prairie Woods, which we'll be going to tomorrow. West Coast Run, so it'll be fun.
So when she was talking about our jazz festival, it was our first, and Mr. Knowlton hopes to be first annual jazz festival that we invited many different schools to come and bring their jazz bands, and we hired a college band director to come and listen to us and then give us tips and tell us how to get better as a whole group, and then as individuals what we could work on. And it was really cool. The guy who came this year was Dr. John Ginocchio from Southwest State, and he came, but the only thing is that this year we kind of had a bad day for it. The state speech tournament was going on the same day, so a lot of jazz bands had a lot of people going for that. So we only ended up with 4 bands: us, New London Spicers Middle School, Eden Valley, and St. John's Prep. But it was a fun day to get to meet with other people from different schools, and I know that us playing, we learned a lot about us as a group, and that Mr. Knowlton's really excited because this was his first jazz festival, and he started the jazz program too last year actually, and he's been progressing us quite a lot through the last 2 years, and I enjoyed it. It was a fun day. We got pizza for everybody there, so it was fun. And
any other comments or things that you'd like to talk with the board about? I think you covered our list here pretty well.
Any questions from you guys?
Yeah. So some of you are seniors. This year, okay, we have 11th grade, and many of you we've seen before. So as the Paynesville school system, if you were talking to somebody from somewhere else and wanting them to come to Paynesville, what would you tell them about our school that's really good?
We have a really good school environment. Most of the people in our school are very nice, very kind to each other, and then our teachers are great. We have great teachers. They're all connected with our students in more than one ways. If we need help, we go to our teachers. If we have a personal issue, or we missed it yesterday, or we've been gone being sick, they're always trying to help us. And in their spare time, they help us out. And it's a great atmosphere to be around all day.
Catch.
Okay, so we also have a really great special ed department, like with our special ed teachers and our paraprofessionals. My mom's a para, and she gets a lot of compliments from a lot of people saying that other schools want their special ed kids to come here because, you know, we're so strong in that department, and Also, I feel like having surrounding towns that are so close, everybody knows everybody, so we're connected in that way, sort of thing.
We at the school are doing our best to try and bring the population of our school up. We're going to bring a few more kids in. And suggestions from you are very, very good for us. So, you'd like to have ice cream?
Ice cream.
Oh.
Start building skyscrapers.
Oh, skyscraper, I get you. So any other comments for us? I know you've had some topics before that you were wondering around. Food? Is food good?
Yep.
Everybody's okay with it?
Actually, too, we had some, we had lasagna bowls.
How did you guys like it?
It was really good.
Okay, well, let them know that when you go through, they are going to try some things over the last couple weeks here, so that can be one of them.
Well, and it sounds like the communication's open, so if you have food that you don't like, you have somebody to talk to, and everybody's working to make it better for you. So any other comments? So you're graduating, okay? So have we prepared you for what thing you think is ahead? Offered you all the classes that you really wanted?
No, yeah.
Okay.
We haven't got there yet. So.
I know what to expect. We'll come back and talk to you next year.
Okay. Well, that could be interesting. It probably could be arranged, couldn't it?
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. If you could maybe leave your sheets, because it has the middle school talking points on, at the end, and then also leave your name tags at the end. That would be great. Middle school is coming in at 1:45, so if you want to do something.
Okay, we'll keep moving ahead a little bit. Review and consider approval of the 2015-16 school calendar. That be a good one to talk about?
We can talk about it, and then we can go from there. Students come in, we can always come back to this. This is the 2015-16 calendar. The state has not changed the law yet, so we do need to start after Labor Day. So that's what this calendar is based on. I do know that in some of the omnibus bills, they still have things in there that says we can say that we can start before Labor Day, but as of right now, there is no change to that. If that happens, be aware I will come back to the board, at least with another calendar, an alternative calendar for the board to look at. I just felt like I couldn't wait any longer. I've been just holding this because I hoped that the legislature and all their great wisdom would probably realize that if they're going to do it, they should do it before school gets out. But they appear to not worry about that. So this is the calendar. We would start with 3 days of staff development on the first part of September, which would be the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So those would be in-service days. Open house would be on the 2nd from 5 to 7:30. That's been pretty typical on that Wednesday. We would start school on the 8th. We would have an early release day on October 14th, and that's just staff development to our early release. The end of the first quarter then would be on the 6th. The 9th then would be no school for the quarter break. On the 12th, there would be an early release with parent-teacher conferences, then from 1:30 to 4:15. Then I'll have lunch break there for the staff, and then 4:45 to 8:45. And then the next day, parent-teacher conferences will run from 8 to 11:30, and then staff development from 11:30 to 3:45. One of the things that we've run into that when we had our meet and confer with the staff that they talked about was the need to have some consistent kind of block of time that wouldn't be a snow makeup day. This does reduce a little bit of the parent-teacher conferences, but based on what I observed this year, I think this amount of time will do everything that we need. I was at both high school and the elementary, and I think I'm talking with my principals. I think this will do what we want. Also, certainly nobody likes any more evening things than we do, so we do have one evening parent-teacher conference this year. And what came out of the talking with the meet and confers, I think they would certainly rather have less in the evening, but we'll see how this goes. This is one long evening for parents to come, but also gives them some time during the day to go over things. Then on the 12th, for early reason, you have parent-teacher conferences, and then for the December break is the 24th through the 1st and back on January 4th. And that's pretty typical. Lori, is this the whole group? Do you want to get started with this group right away? There won't be a lot of time.
I think there's a few more coming.
Yeah, there's 8
Okay,
graders
so I'll just keep going, and if you have questions, just interrupt
When
me.
you're ready, just say so, and then we'll switch back.
Yep. So anyway, Christmas break or winter break then is through the 4th. So we start back on December 4th. There's no school on the 18th, and that's where our first snow makeup day is. That's an in-service day on the 18th. But also will be a snow makeup day. The end of the second quarter then is on the 22nd. And then no school on the 25th, and that's the quarter break. All right? Then on February 4th, you have an early release again, and parent-teacher conferences run the same way, the evening of the 4th. And then also the next day on the 3rd, we have parent-teacher conference in the morning and staff development in the afternoon. So again, a little less parent-teacher conferences, but also with all the electronic stuff that we do. I know that a lot of the special ed staff have meetings well before the parent-teacher conferences, so I think this will be enough time, and we'll certainly monitor it this year. And then one of the things that did come out from both the staff and some parents came back to me too, through board members, is that they would really like to have a day that I am not going to make a staff develop or a snow makeup day. So, and the one that they really favored was President's Day. So at least for this next year, I'm going to leave President's Day alone. I will not make it a snow makeup day, no matter what that day will be, no student contact day. Then we get into March. The 11th is another in-service day, but is also a snow makeup day. So be aware of that. And then we go to Easter Monday, which there is no school, but it is a snow makeup day. And then the end of the quarter is on the 31st. Okay, we go into April then. No school because of quarter break on the 1st of April. And then it kind of gets to be a long time through April and May. We would end on June 2nd, would be the last day with students. And if everything goes well, we don't get a ton of snow days, then the last day for staff would be June 3rd. Graduation then would be on that Sunday, which is June 5th.
Do we have any questions? We have a motion to approve. We have a motion by Lou to approve the 2015-16 school calendar. We have a second by Kella. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay, now we're back. Thank you very much for coming to the middle school student advisory conference. I understand you have some things to report to us.
Okay, I'd like to introduce, this is my middle school advisory. They have a list with some talking points, but I'd also like to remind you that the board really enjoys hearing about what you're doing in classes and what you liked and those types of things. So even if it's not on the sheet and you'd like to report it to the board, they'd really like to hear from you how things are going in classes and different things that you're doing. Okay? So we'll have you take the microphone out. And we are going to ask that as you talk, we'll just have somebody maybe who is was at the band or the choir festival. Ms. Strand, I know you were, right? So why don't we pass it down here? We'll start down here. And more than one person can talk on each point if you want. And we're just going to pass the mic back and forth, okay? All right.
Okay. My name is Sophie, and I was at the junior high choral festival, and I thought that was very educational, and it was really fun to go because we got to listen to 3 or 4 other choirs, and it's interesting to see the different schools and how they pick songs and our songs and how much they can be or different. And I thought it was really fun, and I think we should keep going every year.
Anybody else want to
So
talk?
how many schools were there?
There was 3 Wilmer groups, and then KMS and us.
All right. Would somebody want to speak to the middle school play, either as part of the audience or an actor? kind of just flip the cord. You'll have to do that several times.
Hi, I'm Chase Mansell, and I was in the middle school play. It was really fun, and I think we should do that some more.
What was your favorite part of the play? Or main part of the play?
I just think the whole part was really, I liked it all, pretty much.
Okay. How about you guys as audiences? Did you like seeing your friends up there on stage performing?
Yeah, there was a lot of fun things in the play.
You liked the play itself? It was pretty fun? Yeah. Do you remember what the title was?
It was Parents Just Don't Understand.
Yeah. So could you guys put yourself in the boat, in the same boat?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, well, good. All right. How about the spring dance that we just had? We want to speak to 7th and 8th graders. 6th grade party is still coming. Any 7th or 8th graders want to talk to the dance? Maybe student council members? Hayden? Right here. Take bring it back. Yep, and just kind of lift the cord over.
With dance was fun to like hang around with my classmates and stuff and screaming and yelling at them and stuff. It was fun. And the setting it up was pretty fun too. Like all the painting and stuff, so it was cool things.
What was your theme this year?
Superheroes.
Yeah. Do you want to tell a little bit about what your student council has done this year? Student council has been pretty active this year, so do you want to tell about maybe some of the different events?
We went to the food shelf and we helped set up like a Christmas drive thing for kids that didn't get Christmas presents. They could come and pick 2 gifts up. And yeah, that was fun.
Okay. All right. Did anybody here go on the Anne Frank field trip? Any from the school?
I went to the Festival of Nations.
Okay, want to talk about that?
So just recently, the Spanish and German languages classes went to the Festival of Nations in the cities, and that was super fun because you got to go and you could try different foods, and they have like all the different countries set up in booths. And so like you could go up and you could try their food, and they all had like costumes on, and they were like represented their countries, and it was so cool. And then you could go buy like different things. I know there was like a lot of little toys that they would make in their countries, and then you could go to the auditorium part and you could like learn a dance that they did, or you could just go learn about their cultures. And it was in like it was in an auditorium, and they just had the stage set up as a dance floor, and that was really fun. So then we spent the day there and we ate a whole bunch of food. I think we should do it again next year.
Would anybody want to talk about the extracurriculars they're involved in? And it doesn't have to just be a spring sport. We kind of covered quite a few different ones, so at any time during the year.
For 7th grade baseball, it's going pretty good. Season's going by really fast.
So what do you think about the change in all our facilities out on the grounds? Do you think that's pretty exciting?
Yeah.
Look a little different than it did?
Yeah.
Good.
Spencer, want to give it to Jess?
For 7th grade softball, we're doing really good too. We've won 2 games and then lost our last one, but otherwise it's been pretty good. Practices are really, really fun, and the field though is really hard to work on because there's a lot of bumps where we trip.
So that would be something we could work on making better. Okay.
So is it kind of like bumpy, or it's got holes, or what do you?
Well, we've broken second base twice now, so that's kind of bad. And then like outfield, there's a lot of places where the dirt has been dug up, wind blows, trash gets really piled up in our field.
It happens, that's the fence that it ends up hitting, so we end up having to continually send somebody out there.
But the places that are dug up, if you're running and you step on one of those places that's been dug up, it's not same level. So you kind of have to be prepared.
Yeah.
So you can't just be watching the ball the whole time.
No.
You gotta be watching where you're running. I expect that's probably a good thing to keep on our list.
Yeah, exactly. What did you guys think of getting the drinking fountains that you can use? Is that a good idea? Some of these board members were on the Capitol meeting that we thought that would be a good thing to add to our list for summer improvements. Okay. All right. Any other things that you could share with the board? Maybe some projects you've done in your classes, say in your science classes or your English classes that you thought were interesting this year? Sure.
In humanities right now, we're doing a Foley project. It's like where you take a movie and you mute it and you have to like make sound effects for it and stuff. That's pretty fun. So we're doing The Incredibles. So we have to like do all the explosions and stuff.
And that's a new program that we added last year that they actually, with the computer simulation, they learn to create their own scores, their own musical production. So, and this is a new project that Mr. Knowlton came up with this year as part of the Humanities in the Study of Music course. Right? Okay. Any other projects that you've done that you think the board would like to hear about? Oh, anybody want to comment on preparation for the MCA test this year? Did you feel like teachers spent some time preparing you for taking the test?
I think they did because, well, the OPLA testing was way different than it was kind of different. It was a little different than the MCA testing, but I felt like the MCA testing was a lot easier than the OPLA testing, and the teachers prepared us well when we were taking them.
Board, would you have some questions for our middle schoolers?
So you're all taking lots of classes. Tell us which ones you really like that are really fun, and I'm sure they're all different.
The industrial tech class that we get to take home quarters is really fun. It's just the experience of getting to build something, and then once we're done, just say, I built that. It's just good fun.
Very nice.
Maybe just pass it down in the...
Yeah, I think everybody can talk a little bit. Do we look friendly up here? Everybody's smiling at you, so...
New science class. Well, 6th grade always used to be with Go Ranson, but I don't know why, but they had it with P, and P is really actually fun, and you get some activities that are fun and jokes around and stuff. I like his class a lot.
I really like humanities with Mr. Knowlton because you learn about all kinds of different stuff with music, acting, all kinds of stuff.
Very good.
I like humanities because sometimes we get to play with instruments in the band room, and we get to make our own plays and stuff and do a lot of group activities.
I really like geography with Mr. Brooks because you learn a lot, but it doesn't really seem like it's a lot because he does so much, and so you aren't really cramming it all into your brain at once. I like math class with Mr. Springer because even when we're learning, we have a lot of laughs. It's really fun.
I like gym because you do a lot of things that normal gym wouldn't do, like archery and stuff.
I like Minnesota history with Mr. Ryder because we go through all the chapters so fast, so we get a lot more information. I like science with Mr. P because it's better than last year's summer. I like to go the line with Mr. Ryder because he makes it fun for us and we do
do a lot of activities.
Can you tell the board a little bit, because we do have some new board members, what the above the line class is? Kind of what do you guys talk
It's
about?
like how to make, like, if you're like, if you're bullied or something, like help make it stop and all that.
And how to communicate with each other?
Yeah.
And understand each other a little?
I like science with Mr. Petenberg because we did a lot of experience. Wait, what? I liked Above the Line with Mr. Ryder because he like has fun activities and tells a lot of stories.
I really like FCS with Mrs. Verant because I think on Thursday we're going to have the little kindergartners come in and we're going to play with them for the hour. And then we're going to go into baking, and we just finished our hats where we got to make our own hat. So that was super fun.
Very good. Any other questions of anybody? Thank you very much. It looks like all of you are having fun though, right? And like going to school. I suppose you're unhappy that summer is coming? Oh, I see. So you want to have a little break, is that what you're saying? Well, thank you very much for coming. It's really important for us to sometimes hear from you because our contact is always with adults. And we don't often get a chance to hear from you that are in our school system. And our job here is to make it better for you. And you help a lot. So sometimes when you come to a meeting like this, you wonder what you're here for. That's what you're here for. We need to hear from you what's going on. Thank you very much.
If I could have you pass your name tags this way, and also your sheets of paper.
You're on.
I'm on. I'm Principal Lori Flora. Make sure everybody knows who's talking. I would like to give a special thanks. We've had lots of activities that have gone on the last couple of weeks towards the end of school, from the car crash to the ACT testing to the prom, the car parade, the middle school dances, and things still to come. And it takes our whole community to put these events on. And I do think it creates not only students being more motivated in the classroom because they are feeling connected through these events, but also helps them make good choices in and outside of school. So I do really appreciate all our parents, businesses, volunteers that help us put these events on because we couldn't do it without them. So that's huge. Coming up this week, we have a few, not this week, but next week, there is the Senior Honors Banquet, the Baccalaureate Program, as well as the FFA Banquet, all happening not this coming Sunday, but a week from Sunday, the 17th. Teachers, just met with teachers today, kind of gearing up with those final schedules with in our instruction and then the actual final schedule, because we do adjust our day to allow an hour and a half over the last 2 days of school to give finals, and then they only have 3 classes one day and 4 classes the next day, so we do kind of adjust our day that way. So went over that with staff. One thing I would like to bring to the board to start thinking about, and I'll bring it in a formal proposal this summer, is many schools across the state for our 11th graders that took the ACT during the school day. It is a long day for the kids, and I think our kids worked very hard. Many schools allowed students to have the rest of that day off. So, you know, they get done at about 1:30, 2 o'clock, instead of having them go back to class, either providing a different activity or actually giving them the rest of the day off. So it's just something to think about and talk about. The students brought it to my attention, as well as just talking with some other principals. That's, you know, they could hang out, like say in the cafeteria if they had sports after school, or they could run and go get something, you know, to eat or whatnot. But they start off and they work pretty hard, and it's pretty constant. You know, we've all heard about the ACT, so something to think about. The other thing the math department has asked me to, for us to start talking about, and again, we'll look at this summer once we get our math scores back, is looking at two things. One, if students do not pass the MATE proficiency on the MCA scores as a 10th grader, should we look at saying for a local graduation requirement that they would then need to take another semester of math. The state used to have that in the requirement. They no longer have that, but we could certainly implement that in at the local level for graduation credit. So when we get our math scores back, I would like to look at that. The other piece that I would like to look at is possibly adding a 6th-hour class for not the low level, not the high level, but kind of that middle level, because of the importance of the algebra on the MCA test. Is breaking that algebra class that's now given in 8th grade, do just linear algebra in 8th grade, which is the majority of it, and then breaking and then having the second part of the algebra as a freshman credit, then geometry as a sophomore. Right now they do all the algebra in 7th grade, geometry in 9th grade, and that seems to be a pattern right now where our students are performing as well, where that middle group, we could use that extra time in there, but it would involve having another section within our class schedule. Okay, so something to think about as we kind of move ahead. And before making any decisions, I'd like to see where our test results come back, but that has been some discussion within our math department. Okay. We do have our 5th graders are going to be coming over here on April 20th to spend the day, part of the day with our 6th grade teachers, go to lunch with our current 6th graders, and take a tour of our building. That's part of our transition, and it has always helped to kind of ease that transition as they come in the following fall. So those are some things that are going on, and you've heard a lot of the different events. Our students are busy, they're working hard, they're involved, and it always makes me very proud of them as well as our staff, because they are engaged. You know, they're engaged in their learning, they're engaged in working with each other, etc. So I'm very proud of our building. Any questions that you might have for myself?
When you're talking about like the math scores and some of those kind of things, where maybe you don't feel that we're performing like we are, do you analyze other schools in the state that have a math program and look at the curriculum they offer and try and match it to ours? Or do we try and invent it on our own all the time?
No, our math department is talking with other math departments. Also, Ms. Knoll has actually brought over Eden Valley's math curriculum, and that is the area, and I've talked to New London now, Albany, and South Center, and that is that area that through cuts, and we used to have it, and as we've cut, we have kind of lost that pathway. So
but how do we like compare if the schools are further away than that? Because some of the tests are coming in and we do fairly well against the schools around us.
And I guess you know,
so, but a little further away, there might be a school similar to our size. Maybe they've incorporated something else, but just so that I'm just curious if it's something that you look at in an analysis of how we should change.
In a formal way, no, but just in conversation. But that's the piece that, as we get our scores back, that I do think we need to spend some time and look across the state. What are some other programs? I do know that is one part of our program through recent cuts over the last 6-7 years. That is the area we cut. So, and it might be now we're kind of starting to see that trickle down effect of that. But I do think it's a good idea to look at other programs that are being successful.
So, kind of what did we cut to cause it? I thought when we came a couple years ago, supposedly a 6th hour on a couple of those classes, some of those. But I thought that was supposed to come without detriment.
In the current program that we had,
Yeah.
it wasn't, but this was before you came on board. This was probably 8 or 9 years ago when I came in, and we limited the number of pathways that students could take.
So it showed up in the younger grades.
You know, it's hard to say. Algebra is that transition piece that we're seeing students not perform as well. And the state actually stepped in, it was probably 8 years ago, and instead of algebra being a freshman class, and more kids were ready for that at that time, they pushed algebra to 8th grade. And not all kids are ready for algebra in 8th grade. So when they did that, you know, it just moves it down. So part of it has been initiated by a state requirement that algebra goes to the 8th grade. And then as we kind of ran into some rougher times, what we did with our students in creating pathways and keeping everything. Mark's probably been on the board long enough to remember, and you might be too.
And I think part of that too is just like anything else. Math is a process that you have to continue working on. It's not a process that you just achieve and then move on to. And that's basically what this has been doing, is that as we push the algebra to a younger class, now you have to know that for your MCAs at 10th grade. Well, now you're out how many years already, and you don't get really that core stuff as you move up on the ladder of mathematics. So I think it's just the timing of everything, of being pushed on one end to get the algebra at the younger ages, but then not to have something to refresh them going into that 9th, because it's something you always have to do. Math is something you always have to do. You don't do it, you're going to lose it.
You have to keep doing it,
Yeah.
or you lose it.
Yep.
You know, very similar to a language. So I want to be able to keep working with our math department, looking at different programs that are successful. And I do see myself coming back this summer, possibly having a proposal either for this year or the following year, kind of based on where we're sitting.
That's why you've seen some schools move to the algebra taking 2 years.
Yeah, kind of, and that's what we're looking at.
8th grade and 7th grade, or 8th grade, 9th grade.
8th grade, 9th grade, going algebra 1 and then algebra 1.5. And it may not be for all students. You know, you have those kids in advanced algebra that are doing really well and can do that and are going to move through. That's that upper bracket. It's that middle bracket is where, with some of these changes that have happened at the national level and our local level, I think we need to re-examine.
So probably not as much due to what the school board did here, or how we had to manage the system, because sometimes cuts get used in a fashion that it seems like we're cutting. A lot of our stuff that's changing is more management. So you're saying mostly it's the state of Minnesota with their changes probably caused our largest problem.
And looking at student learning and all of those things. So yeah, I think it's just we have enough data now to look at it, and I think we should examine it and see how we can better help our students get the information they need. So I don't see it as anybody's fault or anything like that. It's just I think we need to look at it.
Because we're always going to be kind of tied with making the money, manage the money for the best efficiency we can to provide the most for the kids.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Any other questions?
Board, any other? Hope you enjoyed, if you made it to prom and all of those activities, you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any suggestions.
Thank you. Well, our elementary school principal report. David?
We still want to...
Or do we got to go back? We got to go back to our budget.
Finish the last one and then we'll move on.
Yep. Okay, so then we're going to move to number 4 of business. Budget presentation.
Yeah, at the last board meeting, the board kind of asked me to come back and kind of show what would happen with the reductions that we have, so that they get a better feel for if we left things alone and as is, what it would look like, and then what it looks like because we made the reductions that the board authorized at the last meeting. If the board remembers, I did put kind of just a sheet together, and I'll kind of go through that. we're constantly looking at our FTEs. The program that I use to make my forecast does look at past history and in declining enrollment, and then gives me projections on where we might lose staff members. For instance, this year it projected that I would lose a half of a staff member. Well, that's based on their projections. That doesn't mean it's based on actual enrollment for the students. As it turns out, when we looked at it, we did have a retirement, and our numbers are lower in the elementary, so I brought back that one of our retired teachers was not going to be brought back. But our program had already projected that we would have lost a half of a teacher. All right, so in essence, based on the program, it was really, we added another half to that based on the fact that it will be a three section elementary school. Okay, and then at the high school, we had another section that didn't have enough students to fill it. At least that particular section, if I'm not mistaken, there are other sections in that particular class, but we did cut one section out because there weren't enough students.
15-16 high school student council members. They are seniors Jacob Bell, Dalton Sluga, Matthew Flora, Caitlin Kemp, Ella Johnson, Hannah Lane, Matthew Mocker, and Emma Stevens. Juniors Grant Cook, Sam Keene, Becca Mogard, and Sydney Riley. Sophomores Lucas Bolt, Grace Lang, Carly Weiser, Cordell Ludwig, Zach Osendorf, and Bailey Whaler. And freshmen Jacob Bertram, Eric Johnson, Ashley Lai, Taylor Ryder, Olivia Riley, and Matt Weiger.
Another program. So this is just an idea of what the program that I use is projects. You can see that in 2016 it's really a 1.2 that we're losing. That's what I brought to the board. It was a retirement that we're not bringing back. Now, if we had brought that person back, we would not have saved a whole person because that staff member is retiring. We would have replaced that staff member probably with a beginning teacher, so you'd have probably saved half the dollars. And it shows in 2017 or 2017, at least the program is projecting that we probably won't lose any staff. And I think that's going to be accurate based on what I see right now. But then in 2018 or 2018, they're saying, well, probably we're going to lose more students. We probably have to cut another half of a staff member. Same in 19, but then in 20 it's projecting, well, we have to add a half back. So again, this is just a projection program. A lot of things can change from year to year, let alone 5 years down the road. So when you get the balances, if you take a look at the top,
Will the following students please come to the office? Cordell Ludwig, Becca Berlato, Evelyn McAdam, and Grace Lane.
the top piece of unassigned fund balance is if we make the reductions that I had proposed to the board. Okay, and those reductions would have been not replacing the retirement, reducing by 1.2 for one section at the high school. I think it was resource training and solutions, it was some para, and I think a little bit of reduction in our copy room and also in our elementary budget. So those particular reductions came to about $40,607. All right, so in the unassigned fund balance, the first one, we made those reductions. In the lower one, we did not make those reductions. In other words, we left everything as is. The staff member still would have retired, but we would have brought that somebody back to replace that staff member. We would have kept the 0.2, we went to reduce that 0.2. Okay, and as you can see, as it starts out, in 15-16, at the end of 15-16, you have 329,000 in your reserve fund. If you did make the cuts, but you'd have 369 if you did make the reductions. And then that goes on and it ends up in 2020. So you go up in 15-16, 16-17, you continue to go up in both. In 17-18, you continue to go up, although you drop if we hadn't made the reductions. So if we did make the reductions, we'd have already started to drop at that particular point with our unrestricted fund balance. Well, we would have continued to go up a little bit if we make the reductions. Then in 18, we continue to go down, but now we're going down in both. And then in 19, we continue to go down in both, but now we're actually deficit spending if we hadn't made the reductions. And then you can see in 20, we're both deficit spending, but if we hadn't made the reductions, we'd actually be in statutory operating debt. Now, again, these projections go out a long time. a lot of things can happen. We've got contracts that need to be settled with the state that isn't giving us a whole lot of money for this year. I'll put my point in there, even though we have just about $2 billion in excess dollars right now. It still looks like it's hanging around 1%, which just is not enough for us to do what we need to do. It doesn't jump up the whole amount because inflation still takes place in all of our other things. So things are still going up, contracts or settlements are still going up. Everything keeps going up even though we're not getting a whole lot of dollars from the state. So that's kind of it. Over the last year, the year since I've been here, I've recommended reductions every year to try to get some of this under control. Every time we do it, this similar thing happens. It extends, it starts to move our fund balance up more, and it extends it out further before we go into statutory operating debt. But if I showed you the numbers on any time I've given reductions, this same pattern occurs. All right, we're simply not getting enough money from the state and to cover inflation, and that's going to continue to cause issues for us. Little from the state, negotiation year. Again, we don't know if they're going to do special ed much differently this next year as far as budgeting. I have no idea. The good thing about it, at least for next year, is that there's a safety clause, which means we won't lose money. We'll at least get the same amount that we had this year. So that helps a little bit, but we don't know how that's going to happen. We're going to have to continue to make adjustments depending on what happens with all the other financial pieces, depending on what the state gives us, depending on our enrollment counts, all of those. My philosophy is to make the adjustments in the least harmful manner possible, to make them where we think they're necessary, but not at the expense of students. That's really where I do not want to go. So I want to continue to add all the programs. If the numbers go down, it'd still be nice to add them, but maybe you don't have 2 sections, maybe you have 1 section of a program, but I still want to continue to have the programs there. So that's kind of it. Then if you look, right now, kind of what I have is an 8% projection where we'd like to be. 8% of our budget should be in reserve. And then the last 2 columns just give you an idea about that. The projected target balance, it gives you that balance in those 2, but then it also tells you how short you are looking at the same year. So if you look in 2017, we're actually above the 8% by $12,000. But I can tell you, as you reduce budgets, they go up fairly quickly. They don't go up real fast right away, but they go up faster over the years. But unfortunately, they go down just as fast. And when you start to lose in deficit spend, it goes quickly. So the adjustments I'm making, I don't want to slash everything. I just want to make the adjustments that are necessary based on staffing and the needs of the students in our own accounts. You know, if the state continues not to give us any money, that ties our hands on what we do with negotiations, but in the end, we're going to be faced with reductions. There's just no way to get around that. Our current levy goes to, I think it ends in 2022. Our current referendum does. Okay, to cause an issue with that, then in 24-25, our technology levy also ends. Now the board does have the authority to levy where we're currently at with our budget. They can go up to, I think, 724 is where we'd be able to levy without a vote or without the permission of our community. I certainly recommend that we ask our community, but it would just be a horrifying thing if we lost that referendum and it wasn't replaced. So how we budget, we really need to budget for the future, and we also need to budget for when that referendum is going to end and when the technology levy is going to end, because when either of those end, if they're not replaced, it would be pretty catastrophic for our budget and what we have to do to stay afloat. And remember, the district spending stature operating debt at one time? At that point, they come in and they say, you will cut this much. And you cut that much. All right? So that's kind of why I continue to look at our budget, why I continue to adjust it as I think is necessary. Again, It's only done to keep, we want to keep the same programs that we're going at the least, but at the same time, if there's areas that we can adjust without affecting student achievement, then we're certainly going to look at those areas. Questions for me?
Good report.
Right, this at least gives you an idea. So we're trying to, I don't want to overreact to anything that we have. And I will tell you this also, I would love to, we've been short on our curriculum that we've been providing our staff because we haven't had the funds, and our staff development. As we continue to go down this path, I'd love to add back to those areas. You know, so I think we need to look at all those things, but I think we have a lot of questions that need to be answered from the state to negotiations and all those before I'm willing to add things back to our budget. I really need to find out where we're going to be.
Okay. Okay, then we will move to our elementary school principal's report.
Good afternoon. Before you start, I just want to thank Jen Weirs for coming in and talking about the programs that her and Kim Jones are doing in the summer. It really is really a neat opportunity for our students. And I actually got to go to the Jan Hassan last summer with them, and we got the tour and a nice meal. And one thing she didn't say is it was set up so that after the play, to the star and one of the younger actors came out for a Q&A, and the kids got to ask questions. And I'm sure that Jan Hassan doesn't do that very often, and so that was really cool. Just a few things of interest that we got going on. Last Saturday, we had 9 students compete in a Math Masters competition, 9 fifth graders in Sartell. And they worked real hard and did a nice job. So I want to congratulate those students. On May 14th, we have 27 students who are going to go to a Young Artist, Young Author Conference at St. Ben's. And that is 9 students from 3rd grade, 9 from 4th, 9 from 5th. And this is the 3rd year that we've been able to do that, so it's really a neat experience too. I just want to touch base on a couple of projects we got going on. I guess I'll call them projects this summer with our elementary school. We have a couple of big things. The first one is we are going to be tiling pretty much every room in the building that has carpet. There are a few rooms in the east wing that the carpet is pretty new, and so we're going to hold off on that. And part of that, those rooms are already tiled. I'm working with Donnie right now to come up with a schedule with the company so that we have some sort of idea when classrooms are going to be displaced and the district office and my office area. But it's a big undertaking, and the first thing we're going to do is the media center and the 3 kindergarten rooms and the hallway by the kindergarten rooms, and we've worked with Matt and to free up the cafeteria so we could put bookshelves and things like that in there for a few weeks while they're working on those projects. The other project I want to talk about is a security project, and that is adding a set of security doors to the front entryway. If you come in to the main office, there'll be a set of glass, well, 2 sets of glass doors with the aluminum framing. What we're going to do this summer is just past the door that goes into the elementary office will be another set of doors, and that will be glass with the aluminum framing. And then there'll also be a buzz-in system put into that set of doors, so that if you're a visitor into our building, you need to go through the office in order to be buzzed into the rest of the building. And there will be there'll be times when those doors will just be open, because we do have our early morning programs, we have early childhood programs, we have parents picking up students at 10:30 and then dropping them off at 12:30 and things like that. So it'll take a little bit to work a system out where it is doable for for our office to handle. We've made a lot of adjustments in that, in our signing in process and having badges for all of our visitors and our peer mentors and anyone else who comes into the building. But that's a project that we really feel will help to make our building more secure and a little bit peace of mind for some of our families that are entrusting their young ones to us. Any questions for me?
That's a good idea. I like that. Security. I like how you have that plan. I have a curious question because I was there again this morning. But the window where your person that sits on staff is, the window when she sees into that area is the bottom of it's a little on the high side. Are you going to attempt to lower that down a little bit so she has a better vision in this whole project, or how do you? She's in a position it's hard for her to see what's going on there without actually standing up from her desk.
Yeah, the window is a little high, but if somebody's wants to get into the main part of the building, they just have to come into the office door and sign. Anyone who comes in has to sign in anyway, so it wouldn't necessarily be that she has to see somebody come in there and then buzz them in. It would be take them into the office, and they'll sign in, take a visitor pass or whatever type of pass they need, and then they would go in, back out that door, and then she would be able to buzz.
Well, I think it's a great idea.
And if visibility does become an issue, you could always put a camera in the corner and with a monitor, that wouldn't be a lot of expense. That just allow Molly to really just look up, see the monitor, would be able to probably see that whole area. So I think there's ways that we can do it, but I think we'll start with what Dave is recommending.
Okay, thank you very much. Patrick Housen, Community Education Director's report. Well, he's even coming down to the mic today.
Yeah. Everybody else has to.
So, all the folks at home, you get to see what he actually looks like. That's standing there by the camera dog.
Behind the camera.
All right. Just passing out our summer brochure there. I just want to share an interesting comment I had yesterday. I went with, Lori mentioned, to the tour SCSU, and our first stop was he's a PhD, and he was the chair of the computer engineering program at St. Cloud State. And right from the beginning, he started talking so highly of our Paynesville students. He said he has 3 kids in the program, and he said that 2 out of the 3 could, and I know all 3, but he said 2 out of the 3 could be at Harvard. That's how smart they are. And this gentleman is the PhD head of the program. I think he's of Indian descent. And he was dead serious, and he said he couldn't speak more highly of the kids and the caliber of kids that are in Paynesville at the program. So I know Lori probably wasn't comfortable to tell you that straight up, but I did share that with her too. So that was a big kudos there. So in that program, computer engineering only graduated 3 kids last year from St. Cloud State total. So it's a very rigorous program. Austin McAdance gave a presentation to us. He's currently full scholarship for his tuition. He's part of this engineering scholarship, and so he's one of those 3 students too. So I just wanted to share that. We were recently notified that we received Pathway 2 preschool scholarship money again. We were counting on that, and we did receive that. What that allows us is we are moving the preschool program to 4 days a week next year. It's moving from a 3-day to a 4-day with no increase in fee. That is mainly a fee-based program. So we're very excited to receive that for next year. We just had our summer camp pause registration deadline, and we have just about 50 kids for this summer. So we didn't know if we'd have 10 kids, 20, 30, but we have 50 kids. We have between part-time and full-time, we have days that we could have up to 50 kids. So talk about the projects happening, and we have to be creative about rooms and getting kids around, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good program this summer. So we're doing a lot more work on that and finalizing staff and programming, and so we're pretty excited about that. You have our brochure there with all of our new programs and activities, and other than that, any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good job. Okay. Next is Max, so I'm going to assume that we're going to miss this
Max
time.
and video, we're missing a couple today.
Okay, and I see Donnie's not here. So.
Yeah, just what he was going to fill in. We took a walk around today, this morning, just administrators and Matt and Max and I, just to look at our fencing situation. And they're just to get an idea about what we need to do in the future as far as kind of closing our facilities as far as the outdoor facilities. What we'd like to do is to put up more. We do have quite a bit of chain link fence that we pulled from other areas. I think I'd like to use the old chain link fence. Could save us some dollars and still fence some areas off. We had brought forward that we're going to fence off the new fencing up along where the new stadium is. So we're going to put gates and fences in there, and really we're going to close those up during baseball games. People will need to come in the middle school parking lot in order to come into that spot. But we also have some other fencing areas that would be nice. We have the issue with one road that runs through and over that side. It's kind of used as a connection. It's really not intended to be. So we're going to put some gates up to just say, we don't. This isn't a road. We know that you'd like to use it as a road, but it's not a road, and we don't want people just driving through the property just because it's easier to get from that side all the way over to Old 23. So we're looking at that kind of thing. Also, just be aware, and it's not on the 5-year plan, but I did notice that where the end of the sidewalk that comes out of the stadium is far short of tying it into our other sidewalk. And I didn't realize it was going to end short, but that's where they had planned to go, and I didn't realize that, or it would have been on the 5-year plan. So from our point of view, we're really going to recommend, and it won't be on our 5-year plan, but I think we need to do it. We need to continue that sidewalk, attach it to the other sidewalk, kind of going around that fire hydrant. That's at the end of that ramp, because that's where the handicap accessible piece is.
We have to do that anyhow.
Eventually we're going to have to do it, so I would just assume, plus it doesn't look quite finished, so I would just soon use my, I think it comes to, I think it's 2158, that's our first estimate. We'll get another estimate on that, but I think we'll finish that piece off regardless, even though it's not on the 5-year plan. I just think we need to do that. And there's going to be a few other things. I know that we had to tie into our sprinkler system, and we're going to get a bill for that. I think that comes to around $1,000 also. The stadium people have done amazingly well with the money that they have. And unfortunately, there is no money tree out there that they say, well, we just need a little more money and we'll pull a few more bills off the tree. So I think there's a few things that for us to just finish it up the way we want it done, that I'm going to just move forward and do what I believe is in the best interest of the district to get things done. I promise you, if it's a $100,000 bill, I'll come to you. But I think on the smaller things, I would just assume just get things done that we need to have done. I'll inform the board of the things that we're doing. But I know of 2 bills right now. If we finish off the sidewalk and we pay for the bill for the watering system where they hooked it up, I know that it's a necessary thing so we can water it. Otherwise, everything's going to dry off and we're not going to have grass up in that area. So we need to pay those bills and move forward. So anyway, and then just be aware that Donnie's in the process of getting a lot of quotes right now. From carpet, the roof's all done now, so we're setting that up. But we still have tile to get done, so we're looking at scheduling that. We have gym spaces that we want to sand down, but trying to find actual time to do those types of things. All of the things in the 5-year plan Donnie is kind of moving forward with to try to put things in place so we get as many things done over the summer as we can. So that's kind of where Donnie's at.
I just have one quick thing.
Yep.
I walked by that over there, you go into the stadium and there's that gravel. Honestly, we set it up for people to get in with wheelchairs and stuff. It is all set up perfectly, and they gotta drive across the gravel for 20 feet. I'd like to put the fire under that one and get it done. Some people have really good access.
Donnie's doing the one thing that I've insisted, and that I said at least 2 quotes on anything that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So his thing is right now is finding somebody that is willing to quote it because things are starting to get busy. So he's doing his best. He knows we want to get that done, and we'll get that piece completed as quick as we can. But
yeah, if somebody comes with somebody that needs accessibility or has accessibility issues, I think we should have a whole place for him to get into this.
Yeah, we just, like I said, we need that second vote, that insisted on.
Athletic committee next is you, Lou.
And that's also Cheryl, we both are part of that.
Cheryl?
Go ahead, Lou.
Well, we met the 29th of April, and the first item on the list it was strictly discussion. It was adding a crap shooting league, and that sounded very interesting to me. And this would be self-sufficient. There wouldn't be any budget money coming out of school funding at all. And they're working on trying to figure out the conflict with other sporting activities at the time this would take place. So those kids that belong, say, to football or basketball could participate in this too without anything overlapping. But like I said, it was just in discussion right now. And we all kind of agreed to continue the discussion, right, Cheryl?
Yes. Yes.
And,
it sounded very interesting.
Yeah, it was. And Max has got some adjustments for the eligibility policy, and that'll come out in July, but he'll discuss that with the board prior to the handbook. The handbook will probably be approved in July. And then he has some recommendations which he also wanted to discuss with the board, considering the 9th grade coaching positions. He wants them to be an assistant category, and adding an assistant coach to the football program. And that's also something he'd like to discuss with the board. Other than that, that was a very good meeting. And as I said, I was disappointed he wasn't here today. I'm sure there'll be some questions on these other two.
Yeah, he'll bring us forward up. I just knew that we had the meeting, and I wanted both you, Lou, and Cheryl to be able to just bring it up. He will come forward and present and give all his information on why we're looking at what we're looking at. So no decisions at this point. This is just information.
It was just something that I think it's more appropriate if he discusses this. This is what he will be discussing when he comes to the next meeting.
Correct.
I agree, there were a lot of different things that we talked about, and I think the board needs to hear all of it.
Yeah.
It would be better if he were here and we could just discuss it all at one time.
Yep. Well, that would be it, unless there's a question.
So it'll all come up in June? Is that what you're thinking?
It'll all come up either at the end of May or the start of June. Plenty of time for the board to take a look at it. I'm guessing it probably will come up maybe at the next meeting because I know they want to move forward.
And this is handbook situation too will have to be in July. I think we approved it.
Yeah, the handbook. Yeah.
Well, then we are an administration report for Robert Hewitt.
Just a few things.
Did you look up the camera so people could see you from the front side?
Yeah, just a few things because this is such a quick turnover. There's not a whole lot of new stuff. I did have Penny, who is the head of the food service for Corey, come out. She's met with the food service. She observed for a day, and now we'll set up another time for her to come back. We talked a little bit about some suggestions she's made for improvements of things that we're doing well, ways that we might be able to save some money. But she's going to come back. She'll meet with probably my principals and I, and then we'll add the food service, two head cooks to that discussion about what we can do and what we can change to make things better. There's some suggestions that Cheese has that they've done in Ricori that, like a fruit tray, for instance. You know, so there's some things that she'll bring up that we might want to try and give it a shot so that our students have more opportunities for things. I know that one of my head cooks has already asked to go to Ricori to take a look to see how their operations are. So I think a lot of good things will come out of that. So that's what we're doing right now for that. I haven't had a chance to take a look at Kevin's suggestions, who is the business manager from St. Cloud, but I'll bring that back to the board when I have a little bit more time to do some work on that. Be aware that with insurance meetings, at one time Pete was a big group, and then the district insurance, and now they have voted, all the other groups have voted to come back to the district insurance. There's good things with that. I think there's some savings for our staff, but there's some issues that it causes the district in accordance to the Affordable Care Act. So now we're analyzing that, now that we know that all groups are coming back, and there's a number of things that we have to look at and gain some information. There could be some actual budgetary things that we're going to have to take care of because of that. But I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for our staff, I believe. Facility meeting. I have set either the 19th or the 21st as the meeting. The 19th would be after a current board meeting. So I'm kind of leaning towards the 21st as a day so that there's no other meeting that we have to worry about beforehand. So I'm going to send out an email. If I'm not mistaken, I know Bruce and Lou are on the facilities committee. Deb was on the committee, so I probably will need one more volunteer to be a part of that. I just would like 3 people on there. I don't want to go down to 4, just because then we've got a quorum and that causes all kind of issues for us. So, yeah, unless there's anybody else, I'll certainly put down Randy. I don't, makes no difference to me. We're good. So right now I'm looking at the 21st at 7 o'clock. I'll be sending out an email on that. One I wasn't real fired up because I might have a meeting in the cities and I'll have to come back for that, but I think that's still the best meeting for the majority, or date for the majority of the people. And again, it's just to start the discussion of where we left off after the vote. So we may look at other options, we may talk about the program that was in place, but I'm probably looking at May 21st at 7 o'clock. I haven't determined where yet, but I'm assuming it might be, it could either be in the elementary media center or middle school media center, probably one of those, but I'll get an email out. Before that happens, I'll probably put a small article in the paper just before that says we're having this meeting on that date. Anybody's welcome to attend. Okay, need to start setting up negotiations meetings for our groups, so if you're on one of those committees, be aware that you're probably going to start getting emails from me. Just want to pass this note around. This is from Larry Carlson, thanking us for allowing him to build us those beautiful dugouts that we have on our elementary. So he's thanking us for doing all the work. All I can tell Larry is thank you. You did a wonderful job. In fact, I need to probably do a proud of just to tell him how thankful we are of the work he's done. If you haven't taken a look at those dugouts on the elementary school property, take a look at it. They just did a fantastic job. So thank you, Larry. Shouldn't be you thanking us. Enrollment for the year, we've kind of stayed about the same. My projections could be about 7 below for next year, but we don't know. We're about even right now. I think we are about 5 below what we started with at the year district-wide, but I think we just gained a couple, so now we're more like 3 below what we had. Sidewalk I already talked about. The stadium clip that I was going to show you, it appears we still have sound issues. So I won't forget, we'll work on the sound issues and eventually get that clip so we can show it to the board. That's what I have.
Okay, then next would be Mark Digman, the Technology Committee.
Well, we met on April 30th, and basically all we were doing is going over the job description because we wanted to get that pretty well sewed up on what that position might look like. So I think we put a lot of time and efforts in it, so we're just kind of finalizing now, but doctoring up to where we want it, and then I think we're going to have to do a couple of things. We have to go through the HACE program of identifying what this job is worth and how this is all going to be implemented and stuff like that. And so that will all come back to the board, you know, for final approval on how that all is going to work. And then just the discussion of how it is going to work. Because, you know, right now we still have Mr. Decker that is our facilitator for our, all of our technology. And he at some point in time is going to retire, but in the meantime, how that all looks and who the person is going to be reporting to and how, you know, all that stuff works. And we all have to kind of come to an understanding of how that person is going to.
Because we're looking at bringing somebody on board that will help our teachers most effectively use technology in the classroom.
Yep.
And do some a number of other things that we want to, but that's kind of what we're asking for somebody to do a lot, I would say.
Yeah. So, but that was pretty much the gist of that meeting.
Very good. Any other sharing of the board? I just have one quick thing, really positive thing, I think. we've talked about trying to bring up the population of our school district. There are lots of things going on, and you probably saw the Paynesville Press with all their articles about no place for people to stay, jobs that we have, those kind of things. I did talk to an individual that said we are getting to a point where developers are looking at possibly building housing here. So for us trying to bring the population up, just by bringing these things to the surface and talking about it, lots of things take place. It'll happen without our direct involvement actually, but I think we as a board need to support those efforts to grow our industrial park and place for people to stay. When have people to stay, along with them will come children that could use our wonderful school system in Paynesville. So we have a motion to adjourn. Motion by Lou. Second by Cheryl. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay.